7 News, on your side at 6 a.m.
And right now at 6 o'clock, a tragic story in D.C. Yet another shooting that killed a teenager. We're live bringing you the latest on the investigation.
Summer travel season is looking rough. 7 News is on your side, though. We're tracking yet more flights delayed and canceled.
And your Monday is starting out comfortable, but Storm Watch 7 is tracking humidity about to make a return. Good morning to you. Yeah, I know, right? It's 6 o'clock on this Monday. I'm Robert Burke.
I'm Ashley Rodriguez. Good morning, good morning. So that humidity will be back tomorrow, just in time for the first day of summer, but we can definitely enjoy today like we've been enjoying this weekend, right? Storm Watch 7 meteorologist Veronica Johnson is tracking that rise in humidity. Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, just perfect weather if you like it comfortable outside this time of the year. For this morning, though, temperatures are really kind of low in some areas. We're in the 40s, so I would say have a jacket getting out the door this morning, short sleeves for your afternoon, and sunglasses, too, for your afternoon, by the way. You can always track those temperatures on the far right-hand portion of your screen and with your Storm Watch 7 weather app. And the app, too, will show some of our fabulous cameras. Look at the gorgeous sunrise there. Kennedy Center, the center of your screen. That's live from Roslyn, Virginia. Well, as mentioned, temperatures in a few pockets in the 40s, north and west, 62 degrees for most of you by the time we get to 7 o'clock this morning, 81 for the afternoon, and then 79 degrees for this evening. So 81 like yesterday, like Saturday. Perfect, right? With a few clouds coming around our area. I'm tracking the heat, though. It returns, as we mentioned, the first day of summer. We're up to 87, 88 degrees for Wednesday. That's your heat. How about your thunderstorm chances? I'll show you where those storms will be setting up and when coming up. Britt?
And looking at the roads this morning, we still have that closure in place on New York Avenue in D.C. It's westbound right at Bladensburg Road because of an earlier crash, and they are continuing to investigate. Speaking of nicer flows, let's start in Prince William County, northbound on I-95, the distance between 234 and 123, taking about 7 minutes. We are in the clear there, still green, but we got closures in place. Why? Because of something in the water. They were supposed to wrap up around 6 a.m., still in place when we checked our cameras, affecting portions of C Street, Maryland Avenue, Independence Avenue, and 4th Street. And there's more even listed here, 6th, 7th, Maryland Avenue, and 9th Street as well. Until they can clear all of that, I would avoid the area as long as possible. Your transit system, though, make sure you check your train and your bus before you head out the door, because a lot of them are functioning on our schedules for the MARC, as schedules for the VRE, and some holidays are affecting the Metro rails and the Metro bus. That's your traffic watch.
Britt, thank you. 6:01 in this morning, we are following up on yet another violent weekend in D.C. Just hours ago, someone shot and killed a teenage boy during an unsanctioned Juneteenth block party. A D.C. police officer and 2 other men were also shot. Well, 7 News' John Gonzalez is live at the scene right now on 14th and U. It's in Northwest with the latest on this investigation. Good morning, John.
Robert, good morning. It is still early in the investigation this morning, but no arrests have been made after 4 people were shot here on U Street, including a police officer and, sadly, Robert just mentioned it, a 15-year-old boy shot and killed. And take a look. Even though the police scene has cleared, you still have some yellow crime tape up here on the sidewalk. Some of the chaos on the streets was captured on cell phone video. Some of it appeared on the Citizen app. Now, out of all the events going on in the district this weekend, many of them Juneteenth related, this one, known as Mochella here in the Shaw community, was not a permitted event, and there were a number of fights, we are told, and illegal guns recovered that led to police trying to break it all up. And as police tried to disperse the crowd at around 9 o'clock last night, that's when shots were fired.
We have a child who was killed today at an event that did not have any proper planning for the number of people who are here, and with guns involved, and with our police managing a crowd on site, somebody used a gun.
This was an HBCU festival to celebrate Juneteenth, but again, the mayor and the chief making it very clear last night it was an unsanctioned city event. The wounded officer shot in the leg is expected to recover. Now, coming up in half an hour, what police found here at the scene even before shots started. Reporting live, John Gonzalez, 7 News.
And thank you for that. 6:04, and that's not the only violent incident we're following this morning. Fairfax County Police just named the man was shot and killed while parking his car Saturday night. The victim, 19-year-old Darren Davis of Alexandria, was parked on Seton Street. A black Dodge Charger pulled up, and those inside fired multiple shots into the car. Detectives continue to search for additional evidence, but they tell us they do not believe this was a random act. This is Fairfax County's 11th homicide this year. At this time last year, there were only 10.
And in Fairfax County, we got an update overnight on a near drowning that happened, and we found out that this morning the man is still in the hospital. Well, take a look. It happened over here just off of the Georgetown Pike area and Difficult Run River. They say this morning that detectives are still investigating the circumstances. As of last check, though, the man is in serious condition.
Just about 6:05, take a look at this new image 7 News received. It shows Ukraine's army using American equipment in the war against Russia. In a Father's Day message, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says his country is preparing for a historic week. National correspondent Atra El-Nashar joins us live from our Capitol Hill bureau with the latest on the war. Good morning, Atra.
Hey, good morning, Ashley. So after 116 days of defending their territory and fighting Russian aggression, Ukrainian families have been torn apart. Women, children, the elderly are fleeing, while men of fighting age are required to stay in Ukraine. Now, President Zelensky posting this Father's Day message with pictures of Ukrainian soldiers holding their babies, saying goodbye to their families on trains. Zelensky also posting a video thanking the fathers of Ukraine. He says, quote, all those who raise their children as good, decent, brave people who defend the state and do everything to help their neighbors live through the war, end quote. Now, like you said, this week is the beginning of one Zelensky says is one of the most important and historic since 1991, because this is the week, Ashley, that the European Union will decide whether to consider Ukraine's request for accelerated membership, which they submitted in the days after Russia invaded on February 24th. The EU is also considering applications from nearby Moldova and Georgia. As Zelensky is predicting Russia will intensify attacks in eastern Ukraine pending this decision. Meanwhile, NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg said over the weekend that Russia's war in Ukraine could last for years, but that the military alliance should continue to support Ukraine's military, even if the costs are high.
It's just incredible to see the Ukrainian people continue to hold on. Now, Atra, one of the consequences of the war is a surge in gas prices here in the U.S. as Russia's supply is cut off from much of the Western world. In fact, this is a live look at current prices in Bethesda, $6.59, probably for Supreme. What is the White House doing this week to address this? This is really hurting people in their pocketbook.
Yeah, so this week the White House says it's going to hold meetings with oil and gas executives, but Ashley, we really don't have more details than that at this point. Certainly not which companies and which administration officials will be meeting. Of course, today is considered that federal holiday observing Juneteenth, so the president's not returning to the White House until later. But keep in mind the fundamental divide ahead of these meetings, however they go, whoever's involved, is that the administration insists that they are encouraging these companies to produce more so supply can increase and prices can come down. But they're also reminding frustrated Americans that oil is priced on a global market. Republicans and some economists, meanwhile, argue that the president's climate agenda discourages those companies and investors from making new investments in production. Now, other industry experts I talked to say it's more complicated than all of this because of the volatility these companies have been through in the past 15 years or so, from plunging prices during the Great Recession to the pandemic when oil prices went negative. So according to administration officials, the president also hasn't ruled out a federal gas tax holiday that would temporarily lower gas by 18 cents per gallon. But there are concerns that that would do more harm than good in the long term because that money is, that tax money is meant for something later down the road. And it also would not address the core issue of dwindling supply. Back to you.
All right, Atra, thank you so much. And once again, airlines are struggling as well. The Juneteenth holiday weekend, staffing shortages, severe weather, they're all contributing to thousands of flights getting delayed or canceled. Maybe you were stuck in that.
They're just chaos. So 7 News anchor Melody Hastings is tracking this for you this morning. She's live in studio with what this means for your next flight. Hey, Mel.
Hey, guys. Yeah, another rough weekend for air travelers. So the good news here is this morning, the situation is slowly improving at airports across the country. More than 8,000 flights have been delayed or canceled since Friday. And as you mentioned, Ashley, the reasons include bad weather, airline staffing shortages, and the high travel demand.
It's frustrating. It makes me feel powerless. I've been stuck in an airport basically for 2 days.
We're doing everything we can, including trying to get in touch earlier and more often with our passengers, and then again trying to hire people back and get more people on the job.
Concern is growing ahead of the busy 4th of July weekend. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg is putting pressure on airlines to address issues, including hiring more staff. Now, our partners over at ABC News are following this. Just ahead at 7 o'clock on Good Morning America, Gio Benitez will look into whether airlines could soon face consequences for delayed and canceled flights.
Melanie, you mentioned the Transportation Secretary. The airlines didn't exactly leave a good impression on him, did they?
That's right, Ashley. Friday night, Pete Buttigieg himself had a flight scheduled between D.C. and New York. It got canceled.
Oh, gosh.
So he ended up driving instead. You know, it even happens to the Secretary of Transportation, and this was just days after he had his latest meeting with the airline executives.
Yeah, so he really could experience what a lot of people are going through.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Melanie. And tomorrow, 7 News on your side will be... Go ahead.
And I'm at the alert desk. You're talking about flights. You know, I'm taking a look this morning at just how many delays and cancellations we have. And I wanted you to take a look here. I know it's going to be hard to see, so I'm going to circle it. Reagan National right now has 7 cancellations, 3 delays. I also looked at Dulles, and Dulles from the last time I checked actually has more cancellations now. They're up to 7 as well. BWI is at 3. So relatively low, especially when you're considering what happened last week. But we're going to keep our eye on it in case it gets any worse.
Thank you, Lindsay. All right, so tomorrow, 7 News on your side. We'll be watching the votes come in during Virginia and D.C.'s primaries. Early voting is closed now. If you have not voted yet, then you need to show up at the polls tomorrow to cast your ballot. Maryland's primary is next month. The deadline to register to vote in that primary is June 28th, and early voting is from July 7th through the 14th. Election day is July 19th. 7 News has been staying on top of these races and asking the candidates tough questions. You can find those profiles and the important dates that you need to know right now on our website, WJLA.com. So it's a difference so subtle, you won't see it, but you will feel it, especially in your wallet.
New this morning, we're going to show you how in tough economic times you could be paying more for less product.
If your child plays way more video games now, 7 News on your side asked an expert how to turn addiction into a healthy habit.
Headed up to 81 degrees today, and it's going to be nice. I just showed you earlier our hottest day of the week, Wednesday. It's also the day that we carry the highest chance of rain and thunderstorms. I'm back in a few minutes. I'll show you which counties, which neighborhoods could have our strongest storms midweek. When 7 News on your side at 6 a.m. returns.
You're watching 7 News on your side at 6 a.m.
Well, video games served as a welcome escape for many during the pandemic, but some players can't seem to stop. Now, Lindsay Masses is on your side this morning explaining what the parent can do to help your kids get back on task. And Lindsay, I'll tell you what my mom did, just took the console away and put it and hid it in her closet. I couldn't get to it. But I mean, you got some different tips here, right?
It's different nowadays, Robert, because you had one console, and nowadays kids have so many different ways to access video games. And the World Health Organization recognizes something called gaming disorder. That's when video games are taking priority over other essentials like sleeping, food, socializing, and studies. I spoke with psychologist and digital addiction specialist Dr. Edward Spector. He says he is seeing more athletes impacted and younger people as young as 9.
They're licking their wounds. They're unhappy. They're suffering from real mental health concerns, and they're using this to escape from their problems, or they're using it to sort of deal with them. Like they're shy, or they have anxiety disorder.
Yeah, and the pandemic really played into this, Robert. A lot of athletes weren't able to play sports. Well, there is help, including at school. And of course, you know, in school, there's been a trend of gamifying schoolwork. Dr. Spector tells me that if your child has a gaming disorder, you can request that their education be provided non-digitally, and they should be able to give them printed lessons. You can watch his entire interview on our website. Some really good information there at WJLA.com.
Thank you, Lindsay. All right, today, Juneteenth is being recognized as a federal holiday. Banks, federal agencies, and schools will be closed. Maybe you have the day off if you're lucky. The official holiday was yesterday on a Sunday. There were numerous celebrations throughout our area. Juneteenth symbolizes the end of slavery in the U.S. In Dumfries, Virginia, about 150 people marched through town, then held a vigil. In D.C., hundreds of people gathered at Freedom Plaza for the Chocolate City Jubilee. There are even more events celebrating Juneteenth happening today. You can find a full guide to the fun on WJLA.com. Look for it near the top of our homepage.
Well, in case you missed it, we saw a powerful moment at Nats Park Saturday. The Nationals retiring number 11, the first number the team ever retired. This is in honor of Ryan Zimmerman, who wore that number for all 17 seasons of his Major League career. And Mr. National retires with many accolades. Golden Glove winner, two-time All-Star, two-time Silver Slugger Award. The list goes on and on. Saturday at Nats Park, everyone that had an impact or was a major part of his career spoke about his greatness, and he was truly great. 2005, first draft pick ever for the Washington Nationals.
People really came out for the game as well. I was down in the Navy Yard area as the game let out. It was packed.
It had to be packed out, and some familiar faces too. Jason Werb, Gio Benitez.
Yeah, we have all that on our website.
Yeah.
They were emotional. It's really sweet.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, really
Rightfully
sweet.
so, yeah.
Mr. National. All right, let's go ahead and send it to Britt Waters now, who's tracking the roads, just in case you do have to go to work this morning. Anything going on?
Not too much. You can see it's smooth sailing here in this camera, southbound on 295, right at Maryland 202. So yes, there's going to be some cars on the road, but you're not going to deal with a lot of that typical volume that you deal with at this time of day. Let's flip over to the map so I can show you where the incidents are exactly in New York Avenue in D.C., in Northeast D.C., still dealing with a closure in place at Bladensburg Road because of a crash investigation. Then downtown, something in the water, had an epic weekend, still have those street closures in place. They were supposed to be wrapped up at 6 a.m., but they're still affecting all of these streets as they continue to pack up those stages and clean the areas, still suggesting that you take the rails, Metro, Mark, and VRE, but they are on augmented schedules as well as the buses because of the holiday. So if you do have to go to work, make sure you just make it through work so you can hopefully spend some nice quality time outside. Is it a pool day, Veronica?
I think it's a pool day. Listen, anytime it's dry, nice and refreshing around here, it's great. Listen, we're going to have less wind today than we did this entire weekend, and it's still going to be a day with a lot of sunshine, especially early on, and the low humidity. Let's take a look at it. I tried to make the ball here bounce, but at least it's moving into the pool. The forecast today headed up to 81 degrees, sunshine, less breezy, and quite comfortable for today. Your winds today, northwest, at about 10 to 15 miles per hour. A good-looking sunrise right out of your window. Temperatures, though, a couple of cool pockets for you. Gaithersburg, 47, 49 degrees. Chantilly, those temperatures right there are on the right for your neighborhood. So 81 today, 79 degrees this evening. This evening will be fine for getting out. But again, you're going to see a few clouds kind of slipping down with that northwesterly flow. High pressure's over us now. We're going to get the warm front tomorrow. Some warmer air, some additional clouds, and maybe a shower or thunder shower in the morning. So there's your clouds overnight. First thing tomorrow morning, 62 to 67 degrees. So here's where there could be some showers early tomorrow this time. Cumberland, areas like Winchester, and then we break into some sunshine for the afternoon hours, and maybe by 6 or 7 o'clock, southern Maryland, you may get a little pop-up shower or thunderstorm in between 80s, mid to upper 80s tomorrow. So it's going to be a day you're going to notice the additional heat and humidity. Hey, if you're going to the game, anything outdoors, or Nats taking on the O's up in Baltimore, Camden Yards, up I-95, 81 degrees, 7:05 first pitch. You're fine for Tuesday. Wednesday's the day you'll have to watch some storms, and I may have to change that and say that we may be looking at a game delay. Most of the storms will be Wednesday during the afternoon and evening. Now, here's where there could be some of the strongest of storms. I promised I would show you this. Washington County down toward Albemarle, Greene County, and then this system quickly advances off to the east and southeast by the time we get to Wednesday late evening. But it's a day on Wednesday where, well, we could have some of those strong storms. Right now, it's not looking like area-wide severe, but Wednesday is the one day that's going to be the hottest, and we'll watch it in case we have to put it on weather alert. For Friday, sunshine for Saturday and Sunday. Back in a few minutes to talk more about those midweek storms and heat.
All right, Veronica, thank you. And this morning, we are following a frantic search near Richmond. 4 escaped prisoners are still on the loose this morning. And this is new. She has a rare type of blood cancer and needs a donor, but it takes more than just blood type to be a perfect match.
You're watching 7 News on your side at 6 a.m.
Right now at 6:30, 7 News is following the police investigation into yet another shooting in D.C., this one killing a teenager during a Juneteenth block party.
You're going to have another nice day starting your week, but Stormwatch 7 is tracking increasing humidity for the first day of summer.
And a Maryland baker battling blood cancer needs a match. And I'm not just talking about blood type. New at this hour, I'll explain why her ethnicity matters too.
Good Monday morning to you. I'm Ashley Rodriguez.
And I'm Robert Burton. We are also tracking these right here. Let me step out of the way and just show you what there you go.
Step back in front of that.
Gasp. Okay. It's a live look at the station in Bethesda right now. Some good news, though. Prices are dropping slightly. Some more good news. A nice day is ahead. Meteorologist Veronica Johnson is tracking it for you.
Yeah, that's some great motivation if you do have to work on this Monday. Take a deep breath and let's go, because the air quality today is going to be great. Still low humidity and pretty refreshing and cool and crisp out there this morning. 55 to 60 degrees, 8 a.m., 75 degrees at noon, 81 degrees at 4 p.m. Get out and enjoy today, because things are going to change. Take a look. We're going to move into some heat for tomorrow. And tomorrow is the day, of course, when summer begins. The summer solstice at 5:13. Forecast is 87 degrees. We're going to have a little bit of humidity tomorrow. So you're seeing the temperatures for tomorrow down here up to 87 degrees. It'll feel like we're up to 90 degrees. I've got some additional humidity coming our way for midweek on Wednesday. And Wednesday is the day right now where I'm tracking the highest chance for some showers and thunderstorms. Back with more on that in just a moment. Let's go now to Britt Waters and check out what's going on area roads this morning. Hey, Britt.
Roads are not as bad as they usually are during this time, maybe because it's a holiday. A lot of people took the day off, or maybe they're working from home. You can see we got some people on the roads here, New York Avenue. That's where that closure has been in place all morning for a crash investigation. Right at Bladensburg Road, you'll run into it if you're traveling westbound. Let's map out some other things going on the roads. You can see SkyTrack 7 showing you a few people on the Beltway moving smoothly there. Street closures are still happening in the district because of something in the water. They were supposed to clear up at 6 a.m. They're still lingering on C Street, Maryland Avenue, Independence Avenue, 4th Street, and continue on this page. I will have this all on my Twitter feeds. Still suggesting that you take transit today, but do expect a little bit of a holiday schedule, especially on Metro. Mark is on our schedule. VRE is on the S schedule. Also, we have an incident that just happened out in Virginia. I'll have that for you in my next report. That's your traffic watch.
So it was a great weekend, great weather, a lot of different events that people attended, but unfortunately, our area could not escape violence. So this morning, we're staying on top of developing news in D.C. Another young life lost to gun violence. And D.C. police officer, 2 other men, they were also shot while police broke up an unapproved block party in Northwest. So let's bring in 7 News' John Gonzalez, following the latest on this investigation live at the scene, 14th and U Streets. John, this is so sad.
Just a tragedy, and it sounds like things were chaotic from the minute this festival started at around 6:30 last night. A 15-year-old boy has been killed, 3 others shot, including a D.C. police officer. You can see the crime tape still up here in the Shaw neighborhood. Now, this happened during the Mochella Music Festival. In a tweet from So Innovative, people can be seen scattering as police investigate. Video was also posted on the Citizen app. The free event included go-go bands celebrating Juneteenth, and it was going on without a permit. The officer who was shot, reportedly in the leg, is expected to be okay. Now, the police chief says none of his officers fired their service weapons during this incident. Even before shots were fired into the crowd, officers had already recovered a couple illegal firearms in the area.
There's a theme that you see here. Illegal firearms in the hands of people who should not have them make events like this unsafe for people who just want to enjoy the beautiful weather, who want to enjoy Father's Day, and want to enjoy our city. This is unacceptable.
Not only did police recover several firearms here at the scene, but we understand they took one off of one of the adult victims who is recovering this morning after being wounded. Live in Northwest Washington, John Gonzalez, 7 News.
And John, sadly, that was not the only teenager shot in the district yesterday. A 16-year-old girl was found unconscious on 3rd Street Southeast near the intersection of Atlantic Street. Police have not released any details on the girl's condition. 7 News will keep checking, though.
It's hard to keep track of all these. Another shooting we are following up on this morning. Take a look at this man. Fairfax County Police say this is Noah Settles right here. He's the man wanted in connection to the shooting that happened Saturday afternoon inside Tyson's Corner Center. Investigators believe Settles pulled out a gun and started shooting after 2 groups got into an argument on the 2nd floor. Shoppers had to run for cover. Thankfully, no one was hurt, and the mall is back open. If you have any information about the shooting, you're asked to reach out to police.
We just got this video into our newsroom a short time ago, and I want you to take a look at your screen because you're going to notice a lot of shaking. This is in Taiwan, where they had a pretty major earthquake this morning, and it's right around 6.0 magnitude. I mean, you can really see those chandeliers going back and forth. At this point, there are no reports of any injuries, not even damage, but I mean, when we see video like this, we know it takes some time to really get all those reports in, and wow, I mean, that had to be a scary moment.
That, an earthquake in Taiwan, and then a tornado in South China. Thank you, Lindsay. In other news, 2 more hearings are planned this week as a congressional committee investigates the January 6th riot. One will be held tomorrow, the other Thursday. Both will air live at 1 p.m. Lawmakers plan to release more evidence about Donald Trump's alleged effort to defraud supporters by fundraising off of false claims of a stolen presidential election. The committee says it will present copies of all the evidence to the Justice Department by the end of the month for its criminal investigation. And a majority of Americans think former President Trump should be charged with a crime for the January 6th attacks. That's according to an Ipsos ABC News poll. It found 58% of Americans think Trump's actions were criminal. When broken down along party lines, 91% of Democrats compared to 21% of Republicans say Trump should be charged. Republican Representative Adam Kinzinger says it will ultimately be up to the Department of Justice to press charges. On Friday, Trump dismissed the hearing, calling those on the panel con artists while continuing to claim the 2020 election was stolen.
Well, your time now is 6:36 and new this morning. A local baker is looking for the perfect recipe to save her life as she battles a type of blood cancer. 7 News' Victoria Sanchez joins us right now to talk about why ethnicity matters in her search and how you can help. And I remember you told me about this story last week. I've been looking forward to this all weekend.
Right. So this is something that I just learned. And every time that I learn something, I just have to share it.
Yeah.
So unlike other donations where blood type is a major factor, if a donor and recipient can be matched, for blood cancers, a person's best chance of finding a donor is someone with the same ethnic background, because it's about matching what's called human leukocyte antigens, which are genetic blood markers that are inherited. I want to introduce you to Elise Smith from Columbia, Maryland, and the owner of Winnie's Bakery. She has myelodysplastic syndrome. Elise is Black and Hispanic, and this impacts her likelihood of finding a match. According to the National Marrow Donor Program, Black or African Americans have a 29% chance of finding a match, while patients who are white have a 79% chance. Elise hopes more people from diverse backgrounds register so those odds can go up for everyone.
You know, when I started this 3 years ago, I had 45% bone marrow remaining, and I now only have 5%. It's very much like living in limbo or living on borrowed time. So being able to find a match and have a successful transplant and close this chapter in my life, it will be a beautiful relief.
Although living on borrowed time, as she puts it, Elise is doing a lot while she waits for her match. This month, she's featured on Magnolia Table with Joanna Gaines, where Elise has 7 episodes teaching people all about cakes. Now, her love of baking comes from her maternal grandmother, who owned a bakery in Prince George's County when she was growing up. And to see if you could be Elise's match or someone else's, it's as simple as a cheek swab. And 85% of the time, surgery is not involved, and it's like a plasma donation. If you want to help out Elise, text Team Elise to 61474 to get connected with the National Marrow Donor Program. And Robert, because of this, because I am Hispanic,
Exactly.
I went ahead and I ordered myself a test kit. I'm going to swab my cheek and see, you know, the likelihood that I'm Elise's match is pretty slim.
Of course.
But I could be somebody else's match.
Well, you know what? And call me crazy, but all these years I thought it was blood type, and that's it.
Right.
So, and this is new, and this is eye-opening.
Right, and you know what? You can also swab your cheek, see if you can increase those odds for people who need a bone marrow transplant.
And it takes about 5 seconds. All right, Victoria, thank you so much. Lindsay?
Take a look at these aerial shots we have of it from New Jersey, by the way, of a wildfire that